All right, as we move along here, please remember that there will be opportunities to ask questions in the chat after this presentation. Thank you so much. All right, as we go through the slide deck, we want to ground ourselves in equity, in our holistic approaches as a Skinner community. Equity will continue to be a focus as we think about how to meet the needs of all of our students. One of the things that drew me to Skinner earlier this year was the whole child approach and also the rigorous curriculum and course offerings that we provide, in addition to restorative practices. In this platform of remote learning and also within COVID, we are going to work to maintain as much fidelity to our core values as possible. The first couple of slides are from Denver Public Schools. We want to make sure that we're grounded in some of their priorities and principles. As we make decisions moving forward, we have our crisis priority number 1, which is addressing the health and safety needs of all students. Yeah, then we move to crisis priority. Just a reminder to please mute. I'm so sorry. I can hear a couple of voices there. Thank you so much. Our second crisis priority 2 is focused on the social, emotional, and mental health needs of all students. Crisis priority number 3 is focused on the learning and mitigating any unfinished teaching and learning from the spring. As many of you may know, the district just shifted their plan, and all of us may be reeling from the decision. I know that the pandemic has impacted all of us in a variety of different ways, and it's impacting our families very, very differently. Please know that our staff would love nothing more to have our hallways full with joy and laughter with all of our students and in-person activity. We are focused on making sure that there's a balanced approach in connection with DPS guidelines and the recommendations from health and state officials. We appreciate your grace and flexibility during this time. Please know that we are committed to making sure that we meet all of your needs to the best of our ability. In connection with the district's announcement, I want to remind you all that the directive states we will stay in remote learning through the first quarter, which is through October 16th. And that is to give an opportunity for schools to launch a comprehensive remote learning plan, in addition to being sensitive to the health guidelines that continue to evolve on a consistent basis. Families, in connection with the annual family update, will have the option to choose a 100% virtual program. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that, and we'll inform you on how to make a decision that's best for you and your family. These next couple of slides are going to be a quick glance reference for those of you who would like to have a little bit more information on the health guidelines that informed the district's decision. So I'm not going to go through those in a lot of detail, but please know that they are there for a reference if you'd like to be more grounded in the health data. Thank you so much. We also know, with our focus on equity, that many of our families reported not feeling safe returning to school, and we know that the pandemic is disproportionately impacting communities of color. The 3 phases and scenarios that we're going to toggle between this year are remote, rejoin, and recover. So when we think about this visual, we were starting the school year on remote, and that will go through October 16th. Many of you are wondering how long the remote phase will last. And please know that we are committed to sharing updates with you as consistently as we receive them. If we are released from remote to rejoin, please know that that would entail a hybrid learning plan where we would have a couple of days a week where students would be coming back to school, and then hopefully phasing into 100% in-person learning. We want you to be aware of those 3 contingency plans and be aware that we are tasked with being able to have fluidity between these 3 scenarios within a 24-hour period of time, depending on health data. So those are the 3 phases of scenarios we can expect to see this year. Many of you submitted questions asking about safety. And I absolutely want you to know our commitment to creating a safe environment for students when we are released for rejoin and in-person learning. In connection with COVID and health screenings and quarantine decisions, I highly recommend you to ground yourself in the decision-making tree so that you have a better understanding of the safety protocols and also the quarantine structures that will be in place in connection with the cohorts. I want to make sure you have all of the information. So again, those slides were more specific to the district. We want you to know that we at Skinner are guided by the district. And the next slides are going to outline Skinner's adaptation to DPS policies as they apply to Skinner. And this is specific to help you make for annual family. Thank you so much again for your patience. I really appreciate it. Thank you again for your patience. We're going to get the slide deck presented again momentarily. Thank you so much. This is our first town hall, and I'm so excited to spend this time with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your patience and your grace. I would love nothing more than to be with you and see you face to face. Thank you so much again for your patience. All right, we are back and ready to go. We're going to share some things with you in connection with what we know, and we're going to be very transparent with you about things that we don't know. And I know that can be difficult, but we appreciate, again, you supporting us, and please just know that we're working here for you. As we look at Skinner's COVID plan, launching remote learning, please know that there is no perfect implementation. We want to make sure that staff and students are safe, And I want you all to know that, gosh, I am filled with so much gratitude and so much awe that although staff is not contractually back until August 10th, we have spent this week with 20 Skinner staff members who volunteered their time to help us work through some of these logistics. And I could not be prouder. It says so much about the strength of the community and the dedication. I'm beside myself every single day, and it makes me feel very, very supportive as a new leader at Skinner. So I just wanted to share that with you, that we are going to make this happen. We have systems and protocols already in place, and we're so excited to share them with you. And again, we really hope that you can have grace for us, grace for each other, and we are trying to be as optimistic as possible given the guidelines and given the current state of our educational reality. So thank you so much. Just want to reiterate again that we are all focusing on the remote learning plan right now, because that is the space that we're in between now and October 16th. You have our commitment that we are going to focus on building relationships with students. And the district gave us a gift of an extra week. The week of August 17th, I'll share more information about. We're going to do some significant relationship building and outreach with you and our students. And we're just excited to launch this school year. Please know that we're going to prioritize creating a caring, culturally responsive learning environment where students are valued and they can learn. We're going to make sure that there's rituals to welcome them back. And we're going to make sure that there's structures in place for predictability. At this time, I'm going to pass it to Lindsay Young, our assistant principal. I'm just been blessed to have Lindsay supporting me through this transition. A lot of the work that Lindsay is involved in is crafting the master schedule and really thinking about what the school day is going to look like for students and what it's going to look like for staff. So Lindsay's going to present a segment of slides. And please remember, after these slides, we're going to give you opportunities to put as many questions that you have in the chat box. I appreciate you all so much.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be back virtually. I apologize for the hiccup. I was trying really hard to hide from a crying 2-year-old, but turns out the room I was in didn't have great service. So I'm going to answer some slides and some questions on the schedule. So when we start remote and when we are remote for the school year, we have a minimum of 3.5 hours of a live daily instruction where students will be in their classes with teachers every single day, Monday through Friday. 30 minutes of that will be a very traditional Skinner class, which is Learning Family. It's a lot like a homeroom family. So it's a place where we get to start our day, talk about our emotional space, check in about our GPA, check in about our to-dos, and really get grounded in who we are as a community of students together in that group. Then the students will go through different classes that will total 3 hours of instruction. We will also provide, in addition to that time, office hours, where we have a minimum of 1 office hour session with each teacher per week that students can attend with their teachers to get support and help. We will also have asynchronous instruction, and this is a vocabulary term that's really new to me since we've been transitioning to remote learning. But that means it's very similar if you were a part of Skinner in March and May when we had to transition. It's where lessons are posted and it's a little bit more self-paced. So we will still have some supports, possibly asynchronous assignments and student supports for them to utilize, but every day there will be live instruction. The courses that will be offered this year. So because we need to flex between remote, hybrid, and in-person 100%, we really have to think about our capacity and what we're able to do safely with students in the building. So we are offering math and language arts year-long. Social studies and science will be a rotation at this semester. So if your student has social studies first semester, then at winter break, they would transition to science. And they will have Core Plus, they will have one Core Plus class that will rotate on quarters. So you will have a total of 4 different Core Plus opportunities throughout the 2021 school year. We will continue to also have English language development classes for our students that are in those and are receiving ELD language supports. We will also have virtual enrichment opportunities for students. And right now, potential ideas for those are Spanish, band, orchestra, and a library enrichment, but we're working with our staff, and once they come back, we'll solidify those options for students as well. Again, if you're anything like me, I'm more of a visual kind of chart person, so it's very similar information, just laid out in a chart. And I want to emphasize here that in the Northwest middle schools, we are committed to heterogeneously grouping our students in classes this year. If your student has an IEP or 504, we want to make sure that you know that they will still receive their services and their instructional minutes from their special educator remotely. We are committed to making sure that they feel supported. We know that we are going to have to be creative in ensuring that we meet the needs of all of our students. During the weeks of August 10th and 17th, once our teachers return for their contract year, you should begin to hear from your case managers. So they will reach out to you and help answer any questions about scheduling and talk through what the needs of your student are and how we can help facilitate that. So just to make sure that you guys are seeing all of the different things that we are going to be able to offer at the beginning of the year or throughout the year. So we will offer all services for students with IEPs and 504s, services for our English language learners, extensions for our students with ALPs, 1 virtual enrichment opportunity per quarter. I know that some of you might be wondering about technology support with your Chromebook that you're either bringing from your elementary school or that Skinner had given you in the past, and we will offer support at that. We'll have breaks for the cohorts throughout the day. Even if we're remote, we'll schedule those in for them. And we still want to assure you that we're going to have virtual engagement with all of our affinity groups. So GSA, SOMOS, BSA. We know that some of you might be really disappointed with the narrowing of the course offerings. But we also want to assure you that we are offering what we can for the flexibility of all 3 of the scenarios. So your schedule will not change if we are remote, hybrid, or in person. Your student will receive the same 4 courses. Here's a list of things that will not be offered during the 2021 school year. I want to make sure for those of you who have students who completed honors 8th grade algebra already at Skinner, they will still be enrolled in Integrated 2 as an offering at Skinner. We are going to be transitioning with the district to Schoology as our learning management system. What that means is the majority of your students' class work, all of their assignments, communication, a lot of their materials will all be housed in Schoology. We will continue to go over the benefits of Schoology and how we're going to use it as a Skinner community throughout the year. And so expect to hear more about that at our virtual back to school night. But we want to transition students over to Schoology, and we will meet in Google Meets because the capacity is a little bit larger than Schoology. So the students will find their links in Schoology, and then it will take them there. So everything for your student is going to be housed in one place for the year, which will be really helpful. And it's available to them 24/7. We can also personalize assignments for different students, so extensions and different supports for students within Schoology. Some new terms that have come up since we began remote learning. So if you haven't heard them before, synchronous learning and synchronous classes really just means live classes. So your student will be engaging with other students with the teacher live at the same time. And asynchronous means that the class is possibly recorded and the student is engaging in a recorded session, or it's a lesson support that the teacher has previously engaged in, or it might even be a homework assignment that they're finding in their Schoology class account that they're completing there. So we will have a mix of both. I'm going to pass it back to Julie for the next portion of the presentation.
All right, thank you so much, Lindsay. Again, I really appreciate you all holding your comments as much as possible. I know that you are anxious to get your questions answered, and we're hoping that we'll be able to accomplish this with the remainder of the slides in addition to the Q&A session at the end. Thank you so much. So again, we have an annual family update which opened on Monday, and that presents you with an opportunity not only to register for the district, but also to confirm and voice your learning platform option in connection with in-person or 100% remote for first semester. In order to make that decision by Monday, we want to help you really understand what the difference is between the two and what this is going to look like at Skinner in connection with the district's health guardrails. We want to be as transparent as possible. We are committed, again, to being as responsive as we possibly can. And I just want you all to feel supported as we begin to launch the school year in the next couple of weeks. So these slides that follow are going to provide information about the in-person learning. Please remember that the district priority number 1 is health and safety, social emotional learning is number 2, and learning is number 3. We have health and safety guidelines set forth by DPS and by state officials during this pandemic. Please know we are absolutely heartbroken and disappointed that we have to scale back our offerings, but we feel like our plan is prioritizing the most important aspects of in-person learning, and it also is going to allow us to have fluidity between those 3 scenarios throughout the entirety of the school year. These slides are just going to be a quick glance. Certainly, we want to make sure that you have a transparent information about DPS guidelines in connection with cohorts. I also want to let you know that we're going to get cohort guideline updates tomorrow from the district. And so things will change, and we will be sending out additional family communication next week so that you are informed. This is the current cohort guidance. Again, we expect it to change tomorrow, and we will be as responsive and adaptive as possible. We appreciate your flexibility and your grace. Please know that in connection with athletics, we are still pending guidance. In connection with extracurricular activities, there's also particular guidance in connection with the cohort and the quarantine guidelines. With student movement, students will be in the same classroom for the entirety of in-person learning. Teachers will be rotating in. We will have specific health guardrails in place to control hallway traffic, to control the cleaning protocols, and also entry and exit throughout the building. We will be sharing more about those informational pieces once we're closer to launching in-person learning around October. So again, for in-person learning, we have been told that the heterogeneous class will have no more than 35. And students, unfortunately, will not be able to interact with students in other classes, and that includes before, during, and after school, and that's connected to the quarantine protocols earlier in the slides. Because of these frameworks, there will be no schedule changes for core classes throughout the first semester, and Core Plus classes will be assigned to cohorts. We realize that we are not able to offer the same type of offerings in addition to the same type of personalized choice, and we sincerely apologize. It is difficult for us to make these decisions. We have calibrated our approaches with other middle schools in the district and also middle schools specifically in our Northwest region. I want to be also extremely transparent in connection to the social distance guidelines. We at Skinner, for in-person learning, are going to have difficulty adhering to social distancing guidelines because of the size of our cohorts and because of the number of students that are currently chosen in-person learning. And that is why it's important to limit interaction between classes and cohorts. In addition, there's some other things that will not be offered, and this is mandated by the district. Transportation will not be offered. Students will not have access to lockers. Unfortunately, there will not be fans used in the classroom. Field trips will not be facilitated during this school year. Again, during passing periods, student movement would be limited. Teachers will rotate in and out of classrooms within their assigned cohort. We will not be able to offer in-person office hours with staff. There will be no supervision before school. We will not be able to offer traditional recess, in-person assemblies or events. We will not be able to share school supplies, share food. And at this point, I'm just taking a real heartfelt deep breath because I know that this is not capturing the middle school experience we want for all of our kiddos. Please know that we are doing everything possible to foster a level of engagement and school pride within the restrictions that we have in front of us. Families, this is more relevant for when we have the ability for in-person learning. Families, unfortunately, you will not be allowed access to the building beyond the main office. All students, staff, and families will be undergoing a health screening. The district is sharing a variety of different methods in connection to health screening protocols. Please know that as we receive updated information, we are committed to being responsive and providing updates through our various communication channels, which is Facebook, Instagram, our website, School Messenger, and Schoology. When we have an in-person day, this provides some information about what a school day would look like. Northwest middle schools and also middle schools across the district have been given an opportunity to shorten our school day by 45 minutes. This is aligned to DCTA union guidelines to ensure that staff have a duty-free lunch and have opportunities for planning. We are going to put these guidelines in place to ensure the safety of our staff and students and to align to the 4-class vision that the district has outlined. Now I'm going to shift to the 100% virtual option. Please remember that students who opt into 100% virtual will remain anchored at Skinner. We are committed to ensuring that Skinner students have access to Skinner teachers, regardless of the mode of learning that is chosen. Details are still being worked out, but please know that that is our top priority, because we know what a quality staff we have here at Skinner, and we want to make sure that students still feel that sense of belonging and are able to build relationships. I'm so sorry. It looks like someone else is presenting. I'm wondering. Let's see here. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm sorry, Corinne Flanagan, it seems like you're presenting to the whole group. There we are. Thank you so much for your patience, everyone. We're all learning this together. All right, thank you so much again. All right, we've got a couple more slides, then we're going to open it up for questions. We know that this school year already feels different. Please know that we are guided by the health and security considerations, and we are committed to continuing to be there for you as much as possible. Okay, a couple more slides, and these are a little bit more positive in my mind, and I think that balance is really important to maintain. The week of August 10th, teachers come back, and we're going to be engaged in district and school-based professional development to make sure that we are ready to go for our kiddos. And then the week of August 17th through the 21st, we're going to have a virtual back to school night, and we're going to share remote learning expectations. We're also developing some classroom supplies that students will need during this remote space, and we're going to think about ways to distribute them. We also, for families that don't have Chromebooks, we're going to make sure that you're set up as well. We're going to have virtual in-person home visits, student outreach activities, and this is the week we're hoping to share student and teacher schedules. The sooner you get that family update in, the sooner we can begin our planning. This slide really brings me a lot of joy. When I was researching Skinner through the principal interview process, I learned that this is the 99th year of Skinner, and next year is the 100th anniversary. So I thought it was really important to highlight that and think about how to bring some joy to the school year and just shine a bright light on what's to come. Excuse me. We are in the preliminary stages of forming a committee dedicated to organizing next year's centennial celebration. And if you would like to be a part of some of the excitement and... I'm sorry, I just was notified that some of you can't see the slides. So we were gonna problem solve and get that taken care of. Thank you so much for your feedback and your patience. Lindsay, are you able to see the slide? Okay, so I'm going to continue here. I hope we're all connected. It's not appearing in that large format, I think, as it was before. Linz? This is our first town hall. Thank you so much. Again, please know in the chat, I did put a link to the slide deck. So I really appreciate you guys giving us some positive encouragement. Thank you so much. We are going to get through this together. And I am so, so happy to be on this journey. There it is. All right. So back to the bright light slide. So if you're wondering how you can get engaged, what support you can provide, and how to really breathe some life into this year, please consider being a part of the 100th anniversary committee. Our librarian, Don Llewellyn, has enthusiastically agreed to be a part of this launch. If you're interested, please reach out to her. And also Elizabeth Hope Skinner. Her middle name, Hope, is something that we're going to hang on to for dear life this year. So thank you so much. We're excited to see what next year will bring. Also, Miss Llewellyn, our librarian, she's kicking off this school year with the first ever virtual campfire sing-along for kiddos. If your students would like to participate, there's information on how they can RSVP. It sounds like so much fun. All right, next steps. Please complete that annual family update by August 3rd. There are previous family communications that really share detailed instructions about how to make that happen. And we have Skinner staff available to help you if you need us to walk through any of those steps. There's links to those if you need to access those. You have my email, you have Lindsay's email. Many of you have been reaching out. It has just been wonderful to get to know you. Thank you so much. And please continue to share your questions, concerns, and feedback for anything that you might not get answered today. All right, we're going to front load this before we go to the questions. So many of you submitted some in advance, and we just recognized some patterns and trends. So we're going to launch with some of these responses to common questions, and then we're going to open it up. I am sincerely apologetic that we were not able to make Sixth Grade Academy happen on the originally scheduled dates of August 3rd and 4th. We did make a difficult decision to push it to the week of the 17th through the 21st. I am so sorry if this is disappointing to you and our students. We met with other middle schools among the district, and we really calibrated our approaches. In addition to the most recent district updates, we felt like it was the best decision. Again, in connection with Core Plus classes, we shared our limitations that were presented in connection with the restrictions. Lots of questions about these two things. All right, physical distancing recommendations. I felt overjoyed last week. I got to move into my office, get my boxes out of my garage, and I got a tour of the Skinner building. And I spent some time looking in the classrooms and seeing the space that exists, and talking to our facility manager, Andrew Delgado, who is wonderful, wonderful. Unfortunately, we cannot guarantee that we will be able to keep students 6 feet apart within classrooms, even 3 feet apart. And I need to be transparent with that. The cohort model is designed to limit exposure across student population, but there will be times when students are within 6 feet of each other. Lunch will be eaten in classrooms, and recess will occur within cohorts with limits on shared equipment and proximity. Live instruction, Lindsay talked about that. I am so happy that the district heard your voices around live instruction, and we are so happy to be able to provide this for not only students, but also staff. We missed feeling connected, and we're so excited to be able to build relationships and more authentic learning experiences. In addition, there's going to be some enrichment opportunities to support the differentiated needs that we have. Please know that we are committed to meeting the needs of all of our students. In connection with attendance, we are going to share more information during that back to school week, the 17th through the 21st. We are going to have a clear and accurate system so that you have an understanding of what that will look like on a day-to-day basis. All right, this is in connection with IEPs. During the week of the 17th, case managers are going to reach out to families to develop the plans for each individual student. We will work on modifying assessments and assignments to ensure that there are scaffolds, and there's going to be small group targeted support. So if you are a family member who is supporting a student with IEPs, please know that that's communication is going to happen on the week of the 17th. Just got a couple more slides. Thank you so much for your patience. I know students are anxiously awaiting the schedules and to know who their teachers are going to be. As soon as we get that annual family update, hopefully by August 3rd, we'll be able to really shape our cohorts in connection with specific teachers within those 4 classes. So thank you again so much. We are anticipating the week of the 17th through the 21st because we know that we're going to be launching on August 24th. So more information to come. All right, cohort size. We're going to get an update from the district tomorrow, and we will make sure that we communicate that in next week's family communication. Also, we've received feedback from quite a few parents about math classes. We want to make sure that needs are met. Because cohorts are not designed according to the class placement, and we do not have the ability for mixed grade level, we are going to develop a structure and process to ensure that students who are on track for advanced math will still have access to that course. So thank you so much and stay tuned. Just have about 3 more slides. Thank you so much. What can you do to support teachers and staff? First of all, thank you so much for asking. What we hope you can do for us right now is just your continued flexibility and grace, and you just staying connected and reaching out. I appreciate everyone who's given me a warm welcome. It's really making me feel grounded, and I can't wait for us to interact in a more authentic level. As we share updates, please make sure that we are communicating with our Skinner kiddos this positive mindset during this uncertain time. We are working to integrate Schoology as a new learning management system, and we will work to make sure that curricular materials are shared with families
Hi, everyone. Sorry. I am gonna stop presenting. Julie should hop back on, so I apologize for any of the technology issues. I'm sure we're going to have to be learners along with our teachers and students this year. In the slide deck, the last slide is the district FAQ guide. They have compiled and answered a lot of questions. We are going to take questions, and it looks like Julie is hopping back onto the meeting right now.
All right, thank you again for your support. I want to encourage everyone to please mute, and if you could turn your video off, I think it would help the functionality of this bandwidth. And all just doing our best. Thank you so much. We're on this journey together. All right, so Lindsay, are you able to project that slide? I wasn't able to see those last two.
Yes, I can, Julie.
You all are wonderful. Thank you so much for your patience. I also put link to the slide deck in the chat.
All right, I want to make sure that we honor some of the questions that are in the chat box, and I know Julie is going to join us. If it's okay with you all, I'm going to stop trying to present because it looks like it's causing some bandwidth issues.
I apologize. I just got kicked out of the meeting. I hope that I clarified our approach to the distribution of students within classes. We need to we need to make sure that we are providing opportunities for the mixed ability groups aligned with our vision of equity. If there's any other questions, please put them in the chat. We're committed to supporting you during this time. I'm so excited that we're able to hold this town hall meeting, and I'm just so honored that you're spending this evening with us. And because I did kick accidentally get kicked out of the meeting. I don't have access to the full chat. I sincerely apologize. So if there is a question that we were not able to answer, it's not because I'm avoiding it. I don't have access to it right now.
Julie, I have access to some of the questions in the chat, and I'm going to go through and answer some questions that I don't know if our slide deck clearly answers. Is that okay with you?
Yes, please. And I will chime in whenever needed. Thank you so much.
Great. Lisa asked if there will be push-in supports for core classes since interventions won't be offered. That's a great question, Lisa, we are working to ensure that our special ed mild mod teachers are able to meet the needs of all of the students in each grade level. And so we are designing the schedule to ensure that they are able to either push in and support during the virtual classes, or also meet them in small groups to support them with anything that's offered there. In addition, we'll continue models like that if we go to hybrid or remote. So Shannon, you asked, how will students that take honors be supported? Unfortunately, at Skinner during the 2021 school year, we're not able to offer honors classes. There will be extensions that students can engage in if they choose to in their classes.
Hey, Lindsay, I'll take a question. I want to comment on Sixth Grade Academy. So Sixth Grade Academy will take place the week of August 17th through the 21st. That whole entire week, like I said, is just a gift to us to reach out to all of our families and students. Sixth Grade Academy will be available for students whether or not they choose 100% remote or whether they're in person, because right now Sixth Grade Academy and all of our offerings are going to be remote. There is no in-person Sixth Grade Academy, unfortunately, with the district's decision. I saw someone wondering about how long we're going to be remote. I'm not quite sure. I know that we will be remote through October 16th, and that will depend on the health guidelines and their recommendations from our state officials. I am hoping that we can all maintain, stay at home, safer at home with all of the guidelines so that we'll be able to phase in gradually.
Julie, Anna asked a question about, Susanna said if we choose 100% in person, it would be a non-binding decision. Would they be able to change? So from my understanding, Anna, the decision is binding just through the first semester. And so families are going to be able to reevaluate their choices over the winter break so that we can plan for second semester.
Yes, that's my understanding as well. And there's lots of questions about remote learning. And I just want you to know those fabulous Skinner staff members that joined us this week are building this robust, beautiful remote learning handbook. And we're going to be sharing more information about family, staff, student expectations within this learning platform the week of August 17th. So we'll have some back to school nights, we'll have some information. And it will really help outline some of the questions that you may have. But keep the questions coming, because you may have some questions for some things that we may not have considered. So we need you so much to be a part of this process, and we appreciate your voice.
Julie, there's quite a few questions about cohorts. How will the cohorts be determined? Will students in certain classes automatically be in cohorts together? What does heterogeneous mean? Would you like to take that, or would you like me to take that?
Sure, I can take that again. And then certainly follow up with any additional clarifications, Lindsay. So in terms of cohorts, again, tomorrow, the district is going to share an update on cohort guidelines. The previous guidelines were no more than 120 students within a cohort, and that is connection to the quarantine scenarios. I'm not quite sure if the district will maintain those cohort guidelines or if it will shift. So look for next week's communication to give you some updates on that. In terms of the development of cohorts, we are going to work with some of our leadership teams at Skinner to inform that process. Again, within the heterogeneous model, that essentially means that students with mixed abilities are going to be in cohorts and classes together. We are not going to have a situation where we're tracking students and grouping them by academic proficiency. That is not aligned with the district and the approaches from other middle schools within our district. In order to meet the needs of all of our students, that is the approach we feel is most equitable. We also want to leverage the enrichment opportunities that are provided to ensure that level of differentiation. I'm not sure if we're going to build cohorts based on students with most similarities. We want to think about the dynamic of students that will promote a sense of belonging and also promote a level of just diversity. As soon as we get all of the information from the annual family update, I know I seem to be like pitching that quite often. It's because it's so crucial that we have that data so we can begin to shape. Once we get that information, we're going to be able to start building some of those cohorts and asking ourselves some of those questions about what makes the most sense for our students and our staff.
We had another question about enrichment. I'm going to go ahead and take this and give Julie a little break. So Tina, you asked if we can help understand a little bit more about what enrichment means. If I'm being really transparent with you, we are trying to figure out a way to offer classes that were traditionally mixed grade levels across Skinner based on abilities. So we need to offer them virtually. And so we don't have a clear vision yet. We're working with teachers. We're working really closely with Ms. Smith and Ms. Overton to be super creative and ensure that we are meeting the needs of our students who love music and who love Spanish or who want to begin Spanish and music. So I can't tell you exactly what that will look like yet, but I can tell you it's a big priority for us to make sure that we plan it so that students have access to that throughout the year. And then there was another question about our girls and boys group that has been in the works and been talked about, but I can't give specifics about how that might look in the schedule this year.
All right, I'll take a turn, Lindsay. I see a question about special education. If you are grappling with making a decision because you're not sure what type of services will be available in the 100% virtual or in the in-person, I would recommend reaching out to our district special education consultant, Becky Gallagher. Her email address was on one of the slides, and I can certainly put it in the chat as well. If you need any additional support, you are welcome to email me, and I can set up a time to chat with you. We want to make sure that you feel supported and informed before you make that decision. I also saw a question about social emotional learning. And like I said, that was one of the things that really attracted me to Skinner is that whole child approach. We wish we could just, reach out and give all of our kiddos this virtual hug and let them know that everything is going to be okay. we had a specific small group focused on our social emotional plan within this remote space. We are going to have Learning Family, 30 minutes of social emotional learning every single day. So our Learning Family is going to be one way for that social emotional learning to be transferred to our kiddos. And then we're also going to embed it in a variety of different ways through the implementation of our plan. Rebecca, I appreciate you reassuring us during this time. This is a time for hope. This is a time for optimism. It's also a time to reflect on just the compassion and empathy and community that we're going to need to continue to maintain and strengthen during this time. And like I said, I'm just so humbled and proud to be a part of it. I'm so happy that you took this time to get to know me and spend time with Lindsay and I. Let's see. Okay, let's look at some more of these questions. Again, we're committed to staying here to make sure that all your questions are answered. 100% online. Will classes be taught by Skinner teachers? That is our hope. That is the communication from the district. I want you to know we have some staff members who have requested accommodations to be at home remote. We have some teachers who are going to commit to coming back to Skinner during in-person learning. The hope is to match the Skinner teachers with the Skinner students, regardless of what option that they choose. And we'll do everything within our power to make sure that that happens. We know our Skinner teachers are phenomenal, and we want to make sure that you're able to continue the relationships and the learning. Another question about Learning Family in remote learning. So as Lindsay shared, remote learning and in-person learning will have access to a Learning Family, and that Learning Family will be consistent within that class and that cohort. And that's where the significant amount of our social emotional learning is going to occur. In connection with additional social emotional, we know Skinner has just amazing school pride and activities, and we're going to try to figure out how to transform those into the virtual space, because we don't have the opportunity to spend time together in person. So stay tuned for some of those thoughts. For incoming sixth graders, again, we're hoping to provide some targeted outreach during the week of August 17th. We are unfortunately not able to provide opportunities for kiddos to interact outside of their class and even outside of their cohort within the health guidelines that are put in front of us. The cohort scenarios within the quarantine is a bit of a challenge. And so I want to let you know that when we go into in-person learning, which I hope that we do as soon as possible, as soon as we're able, there's about 15 different quarantine scenarios. And if any of those are activated, that entire cohort, regardless of what size, whether it's 120 or less than that, will have to be self-quarantined at home for 14 days. And so we're trying to really limit that interaction as we move forward. Times for sixth grade academy. I want to remind you all, although we had so much participation in our work group this week, staff is not contractually returning until August 10th. And so we have not had opportunity to get all staff on board with planning. Once we get all staff on board, we'll be able to share more details about the sixth grade academy in connection with the times. And please remember those times are going to be a combination of recorded sessions and live interaction. We absolutely know the need for you to have information as soon as possible so you can plan your schedules. And we're going to get to that to you as soon as possible. We're committed to giving you that updated, responsive feedback every single week through the variety of our different communication platforms. There is a slide that is in this deck regarding athletics. We have not gotten recommendations from CHSAA. They're still trying to figure out how many athletics or extracurricular activities students will be able to participate in to ensure that we are not in violation of the health guardrail guidelines. And we are not putting ourselves in a situation where we need to be self-quarantined for weeks at a time school-wide. Any other questions? Feel free to put them in there. I'm going to go through the chat and make sure that we haven't missed any. Again, really appreciate this time with you all. There's a question here about the family update. Some of you did the early bird registration in May, and you selected an option, and so much has evolved between now and then. In yesterday's communication that I sent out, which is available on the Skinner website, it's labeled 729 family communication. There's a bullet point on there that provides some information. The district sent out an addendum that you could complete and submit to the school. That might take a little bit of time. And since we're pushing to have as much information by Monday, there's two contacts. There's Shalane and Nico. You can either email them or call them to update your selection, and they will make that change in Infinite Campus. So please know if you made a selection in that early bird registration in May, that annual family update will not allow you to have access to it. So you just connect with the two Skinner staff members that I mentioned, and you can provide that update. Thank you so much. We have a question about the difference of in-person and remote. And I completely understand the confusion, so I'm going to do the best I can to explain my understanding of it. We are calling this phase right now between now and October 16th remote learning. The entire district is on remote learning. Families that choose 100% virtual will be 100% virtual through the first semester. At that point, they'll be able to make a change for second semester. Families that choose in-person are in remote until October 16th. But if we have direction and guidelines that we can do some phased in hybrid, gradual integration, and then perhaps full in person, everyone who selected that in person, once the remote is lifted, will be able to be a part of that process. The district's trying to differentiate the term remote and the term virtual, and I know it can be confusing. I hope that I provided some clarification. All right. Question about high priority students. Yes, thank you so much for bringing that up. Again, the direction from the district is that all remote learning between now and October 16th. However, Superintendent Cordova shared that there may be some possibilities for specific students to enter in-person learning prior to October 16th. What she shared with us Wednesday morning is that they're looking at ECE and they're looking at center-based special education students. They also are sharing the possibility of creating safe spaces for some students who are not ECE or center-based students to have access to an in-building remote learning environment where they are supervised by a proctor, not a teacher, to support them in between this remote learning space. She did not share specific details about how those students would be identified, however. If we have 64 people on this call, I appreciate you hanging in there. If you are feeling satisfied, feel free to leave the call. Please know Lindsay and I are committed to hanging in there with you all and making sure that you feel supported and have all your questions answered. Oh, thank you for clarifying that question. Let's see here. Okay, Lindsay, would you mind chiming in with Kate's question? Lindsay is really grounded in the master schedule. That's one of her main roles and responsibilities, and she's been working with that small group this week.
Yes, Kate, I'm going to ask you to repost if I get it wrong again, because I see the bottom, but I might be missing some context. And so after October, the remote schedule will look slightly different than the in-person schedule. So we are still working really, really hard on what those will be. And we think we almost have it solidified. And so your student will still have 4 classes, whether they're remote or in person. The class times may change. So there might be a possibility where they are remote in 50-minute classes every day, or they might be blocked. We're working through pieces of that, and so I don't want to commit to one piece or the other. But if we are in person, they will see all 4 of their classes every single day once they transition. For curriculum, the curriculum will stay the same. The district has worked really hard to narrow the focus to the most important pieces of the curriculum for each of the content areas. And so we are lucky to have really amazing teachers who are going to work with that and make sure that our students have a grasp of everything that they need so that they're able to go to the next grade level after 2021 and hit the ground running. Kate, if I didn't answer your question, feel free to get more specific in the chat.
All right, I'm going to chime in with a question about student internet usage monitoring. Lindsay and I just spent some time today with MyTech, understanding what to expect with the new learning management system of Schoology. There are some tools in Schoology that will allow us to really maximize collaboration and allow us to monitor student learning and respond to any misconceptions. There has been no discussion of GoGuardian during the remote learning. I'm not quite sure about the functionality in terms of monitoring that. I am happy to reach out to our digital tech coach and get any additional thoughts around how we can address that concern and question. There's some really neat tools in Schoology. I'm still learning a lot about it, but I think it's going to be really engaging for our students and staff. one of our staff members said, "Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I wish we had transferred to Schoology much earlier." So I'm excited to dig a little bit deeper. And please know that the week of August 17th, we're going to be providing outreach to students and also families and help you in any way in integrating and building your capacity with these new technology platforms.
Julie, I'm going to answer a question about higher level math that's come up. I've seen it a couple times, so I just want to get as specific as possible. So if your student chooses virtual or in person, we know that we have traditionally offered advanced level math, meaning students that come to us in 6th grade having already completed 6th grade math. So they did it in 5th grade. Those students we have offered advanced level math, meaning they take 7th grade as a 6th grader. We know that we can't offer that in-person opportunity this year because we cannot mix grade levels. We are working to be creative to see what we can offer to those students. I don't want to make any promises today, but we know that we need to meet the needs of our students, and so we're working through different opportunities of virtual or recorded lessons or pieces of that nature, but we need a little bit more time to figure out the right path for those students. But we know it is a priority for many of our families.
Chat box is slowing down a little bit, which makes me feel like we're moving in the right direction in terms of building some common understandings. Thank you so much. Feel free, if you have any additional questions, put them in the chat. Rebecca, thank you so much for your support in managing some of these responses. There's also a link to a Google form if you would like to submit any additional questions. Please know that Lindsay and I are here for you, and we are just proud to serve Skinner, and we are excited to be able to share more concrete information as we receive it from the district. So proud of the work that we've already accomplished.
Kate, I'm not saying that they will duplicate math. I'm trying really hard to answer your question, but I know that this might be a personal conversation, and so I'd love to set up a time for us to chat further if it doesn't get answered. But we don't know exactly how we will meet the needs, and so it might look like a virtual class that they are self-paced through. It might be classes from Skinner that they are watching. We haven't figured out the appropriate path. We are reaching out to other middle schools who offer advanced courses also and trying to plan with them to figure out what is going to work best for students. But the plan is not that they repeat a math course that they've already taken.
I want to address the question around the 100% virtual program. As we look at our staffing, as I mentioned, we have some staff who feel comfortable with in-person learning whenever that will occur. And then there's some staff who have requested and been granted accommodations for remote learning. The district has shared the 4-class vision, regardless of remote or in-person learning. So we're following that mandate in alignment to the recommendations. And we're also cognizant of our staff capacity within this space. Logistically, once we get annual family update data, which I know you all are gonna just get that submitted by Monday if you haven't already, thank you so much. We're gonna be able to really shape those cohorts, and we're gonna be able to shape what those classes look like with those teachers. And I think once August 17th comes around, and I know that seems far away, we appreciate you hanging in there with us during this uncertain time. We think as things evolve, we'll be able to really clarify what does a student day look like and what does a staff day look like. Again, because staff are not contractually back, we have some drafts, but we need their input. And so we're gonna think about how to leverage those opportunities the week of August 10th and then release some of that information to you all. Great questions, thank you so much. I apologize if I've contributed to the confusion with the remote and the virtual. I'm so sorry if I got everything all mixed up. Again, with the remote terminology, that's the space we're in right now between now and October 16th. The 100% virtual is for families who are not choosing the in-person learning for the first semester. Again, we're working on the remote learning handbook, which will include staff, student, and family expectations during this time. We have a really solid draft. Super excited about the progress that we've made. Once staff gets back officially the week of August 10th, we'll be able to go through that with them. And then we'll be launching some of those expectations, including uniforms, dress code, the week of August 17th through learning families and also through that virtual back to school night. Again, we're going to continue to do the best we can to keep you all informed. I'm not seeing a lot of questions, and I see some people exiting, so I'm going to infer that we are ready to close out. Again, if you come up with any other questions, you have a link to submit questions, or you just send an email to me. I'm happy to respond as quickly as possible. Again, the virtual back to school night, we don't have the specific date and time. We need staff to have the ability to come back to support the development of that planning. It is going to be between the week of August 17th through the 21st. I realize the vagueness of these dates are so different than years in the past. We're used to having all of this on the calendar. We're doing the best we can to adapt, and we will provide some more concrete information so that you can plan and prioritize that event. At this time, as we see people dwindling down, we're going to begin to say goodbye. Thank you again for your patience with Skinner's first virtual town hall meeting. I want to appreciate all of you and thank you for joining us. And again, in spite of all of this, I just can't tell you how happy I am to serve and support the Skinner community. I want to give a big loud shout out to Lindsay for just really standing by my side through all of this and helping me with this transition. I want to thank Rebecca for chiming in with support and always being so helpful in getting family communications out. We are moving in the right direction, and we are going to get through this together. So thank you so much. I expect some additional family communication to come out early next week in connection with the updated cohort guidelines. At this time, Lindsay and I are going to say goodbye and thank you. We appreciate you. We will certainly explore having additional town hall meetings with you. Thank you so much. Follow up if you need some additional support. All right, we're waving goodbye. Thank you. Enjoy your night. It's almost Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. We're thinking about you all. Take care and talk to you soon.